Welcome to the University Center of the Mountains Cool Careers mini session. We have put this together as a way to show our students in the area some information, or give our students some information on the University Center of the Mountains transfer pathways related to careers, hence the reason we're calling it Cool Careers. I'm Deronda Mobilini. I'm the Executive Director for the University Center of the Mountains. My offices are located in the Jolly Classroom Building on Hazard Community and Technical College campus, Highway 15. And I have 12 partners, KCTCS and HCTC, and then 10 more four-year college university partners. And through those partnerships, we are providing access to bachelor's degree and even graduate degree attainment for our students in this region. Some are students who are going to HCTC right now. Sometimes we have folks out in the community who've been out of school for a while and want to come back. Certainly one of the things I want to talk to you all as high school students to know that if you decide to come to Hazard Community College first, and use that as a stepping stone to a bachelor's degree, that we have some very nice pathways lined out and are very much set up for students to do that. And then the UCM, the University Center of the Mountains, provides that transfer guidance or assistance. We help our students apply, look for scholarships, explore different pathways. I have a career transfer counselor in the UCM, Professor Helen Brunty, who assists students with that. We also have advisors and connections to our different four-year colleges in the UCM, so students can explore some of those options. So certainly keep HCTC in mind as a stepping stone, and keep in mind that you do your 2 years at the community college, affordable, accessible, but then we certainly encourage you to go on and explore those other options. Now, today we're going to be talking specifically about careers related to criminal justice programs. And just to show you how the partnership works, I have two folks with me today. I have Eastern Kentucky University's Joshua Gillum. He's one of the faculty at EKU. He's one of our partners, and he works very closely with Professor Walter Smith, and Walter Smith is the program coordinator for Hazard Community and Technical College's Associate Applied Science degree in criminal justice. And so we have some students that go from HCTC into the EKU pathway, but these two gentlemen are going to tell you a little bit more about some of those options today. We're going to do this sort of as a panel piece and just take a few minutes, and I'm going to pop back and forth and ask them some different questions and let them give you some general information. So with that being said, Josh, let me start out with you. I should say Professor Gillum. We've had him as a student in the past, and he looks so young to me still. So sorry, but and he's sitting in Richmond connecting in with us, so we appreciate that. But talk a little bit about the careers. If a student went ahead and got a bachelor's degree in criminal justice, one of your programs, why would they want to do that? What are some of the careers that they might go into?
Yes, thank you for that question. So when you're talking about criminal justice as well as police studies in this program, there are plenty of jobs. For example, you could work for Department of Corrections, which encompasses a correctional facilities, correctional officer, case manager, detention officer, as well as probation and parole, working with individuals that will be under supervision under specific terms where you work with them in the community. Outside of those, you could work with your local police department and work your way up to crime scene investigator. That has happened before. Also, there's a U.S. Marshal office out toward HCTC, if I'm not mistaken, and then conservation officer, working as a game warden. And with the bachelor's degree, in particular with criminal justice, can vary between state and federal. And at those different levels, there's a difference in pay, significant pay raise. So those are things to keep in mind.
Okay. And thank you. And Walter, Professor Smith, the same question in terms of what are the career opportunities if a student comes through HCTC and starts out and gets that Associate Applied Science degree first? What would they want to do with that?
There's several different career options available to students who get the Associate Applied Science as well. Anything from game warden to drug court caseworker, working with people who have substance abuse issues, police officers, again, working your way up to detective, hostage negotiation teams, all that kind of stuff. Also, you can work in corrections. You can do things like work as a court designated worker. This is an opportunity for people to work with youth before they get a real career in criminal behavior. They're more or less engaging in some minor delinquent behavior, and you get to work with them and try to change their lives and turn their lives around and help them to be a better person once they grow up. There's a lot of career options, and the farther you go in your pursuit of academics through bachelor's and even into graduate school, the more opportunities really open up to you.
Thank you, Walter. And one of the things I forgot, I should have had you all introduce yourselves more fully. So let's pop back again to Josh and just tell a little bit about your background and how you ended up, because I mean, another career option obviously is teaching and faculty, because that's what both of you all are, just to think about that. But just very briefly, what's your background, Josh, and how did you get to where you are right now?
Yes, thank you, Deronda. So again, my name is Joshua Gillum out of the Eastern Kentucky University Manchester office at this time. I got here by going through the EKU, Criminal Justice Police Studies Regional program at campuses and sites. One of those sites in 2015 was HCTC and Hazard through the UCM. I went there and got my bachelor's, and even Walter, I had a couple of classes with Walter as well. Upon graduation with a bachelor's in criminal justice, I went and worked for the Virginia Department of Corrections at the highest security level prison in the state of Virginia. Worked there for a couple years. Got my master's from Cincinnati, and I applied for this job once it came open, and now I'm teaching. So that's real quick, real brief. That is certainly an option to you as well. And as Walter mentioned earlier, going forward and getting a higher education into a graduate program can certainly benefit you a lot as well.
Thank you. And Walter, just a little bit about your title and your background.
Right now, I'm the Criminal Justice Program Coordinator at Hazard Community and Technical College. I have several years experience in corrections. I've worked in both institutional and community corrections, doing mostly correctional counseling type jobs. I've worked with adult populations and juvenile populations through that career. I've also taught for Somerset Community College, Southeast Community and Technical College, as well as Eastern Kentucky University. And I have a bachelor's degree in correctional and juvenile justice studies from Eastern Kentucky University, a master's from University of Cincinnati in criminal justice, and I just started working on my PhD from the University of the Cumberlands.
Okay, so Walter's going all the way. And by the way, notice how closely these two are connected or intertwined. One's been the faculty member. They both, have attended EKU and the UCM and so on. And we've got a really wonderful partnership through the UCM consortium, Hazard Community Technical College with Eastern Kentucky University, a wonderful, wonderful partnership that allows us to very smoothly assist our students in moving from one to the other. And in fact, I'll mention we have what's called the EKU Colonel Connect, where students can come into Hazard Community and Technical College and apply and get started at HCTC, but they can also go ahead and apply to Eastern Kentucky University and be recognized as a student there. And that allows us to just track and work in an even closer team advising fashion to keep students on track so that you can transfer smoothly and move right along into your four-year program, or even to continue that additional graduate work on down the line when you're ready. Speaking of classes and that coursework and so on, Walter, let me pop back to you for a moment and maybe discuss briefly what classes students would take at HCTC specifically, or in order to prepare for application to EKU for transfer, and then maybe just briefly describe some of those other general types of classes that AAS or transfer-bound students take. I know I've gotten to observe you doing some things, and you've let me come down and try out some of the SIM areas, which are kind of cool. Maybe just talk about that for just a minute.
Okay. We have a very flexible program at Hazard Community and Technical College. And the reason for that is we understand that this is a very diverse field. There's all kinds of different jobs you can go into. Anything you can think of, honestly, operates within the criminal justice system. We've got everything from forensic nurses to forensic psychologists to detectives and counselors and lawyers and just all different kinds of career fields. And we wanted to create a program that was broad enough that whatever your particular career goal was, we would have an academic plan that would help match that. Because of that, there's 5 core classes you have to take. These are classes that we consider important no matter what your career is. And that is Introduction to Criminal Justice. You're going to need to have a broad overview understanding of how the whole system works. Ethics, because if you're going to work in this field, ethics and doing things the proper way is of the utmost importance. If you don't have ethics within the criminal justice system, you really don't have anything. Criminal investigation, and on first thought, you think criminal investigation only applies to police officers and law enforcement. The public defender's office has criminal investigators that they hire. So from a legal perspective, from an attorney perspective, there's also career fields in corrections where you'll go in and investigate crimes that happen within a correction, so that you'll need criminal investigation. Criminal law, because it creates the backbone of everything that we do. We're enforcing laws. We're helping people to become better obeyers of the law in a sense. And so that's very important to what you're going to do no matter what field you go into. And criminal procedure, learning how to protect people's constitutional rights and make sure that you're giving people the due process that they deserve and that they have a right to within our Constitution. Beyond that, you'll take classes depending on what you want to do in things like crime scene reconstruction, and we'll actually set up mock crime scenes around campus if you're taking in-person classes. And we'll work through them. We've actually had police departments send in people to grade the final for that class for a couple reasons. One, I think it increases the confidence the student has in the course, that if you're going to be graded by a crime scene investigator or a detective that does this for a living, you have a better feeling that you're getting some quality instruction through Hazard Community and Technical College. Also, it allows students to make connections with people already operating in that career that can help them get jobs after they graduate. We also have classes in things like correctional intervention strategies, teaching students how to counsel and help offenders who are in the system not recidivate, not commit crimes again. We have classes like criminal psychology, looking at how to de-escalate situations, crisis communication skills, offender psychology, things like that. We have class in serial killers where we talk about how to classify and profile different types of serial killers. So it really is a wide breadth program, and there's not enough time to go into every class. Those are just some of the ones to give an idea of just how broad it is. Once you come in, you can take classes within your core, and as you're going through those classes, you'll learn more about the criminal justice system. And a lot of times that helps students narrow their focus and really decide what they want to do. And once they know what they want to do for their career, we can then focus that in a little bit more. With our transfer pathway we've worked out with EKU, you can go in completely gen ed certified. And you can do that by taking all the classes that we require and one extra science and one extra humanities course. And so when you go to EKU, you can transfer and just have to take those upper division criminal justice classes that you would get at EKU.
Thank you, Walter. Yeah, and then that's ideal. So if a student is going full time, typically that's about 15 credit hours per semester, and they do their 2-year degree in 2 years and transfer on to EKU, and they stay right on track, and that 4-year degree can truly be completed in 4 years, even though they're transferring. And of course, for one of the bachelors, we're still offering through interactive television that programming right here in Hazard in the University Center of the Mountains. So I have EKU students who come in right now to take classes with different faculty. Josh sometimes comes on campus as well and will teach from the site. The other faculty do that. Professor Kapler, again, these faculty, if students come to the UCM, the Hazard campus, but these students get to know and have opportunities to interact with their EKU faculty on a face-to-face basis, as well as more virtual like what we're doing today. All right, let me pop back over to you, Josh, for a minute. And and again, because you're the youngest of us, so, but thinking back to when you were in the UCM, but again, as a student, and keeping in mind that we're speaking to high school students, what are some things you could suggest to them in terms of how to prepare if they're wanting to go all the way for the bachelor's, how to, because, I mean, EKU is a very rich program, and like Walter was mentioning, he mentioned some of the forensic. I mean, I know at EKU you've got some of the programs related to criminal justice, but fall under the College of Health Sciences because they're very much chemistry, math. Is sometimes what kids see on CSI, that kind of thing on TV. I know that interests them. That's very much science based. And then you've got the other track where you're dealing with people, and there's the law enforcement piece, and that's more of what we're offering on the UCM campus. But some students may ultimately want to move to Richmond and or some one of the other locations and access some of those classes. So, what are some things that high school seniors could be doing now to kind of determine which way they want to go, prepare? Any suggestions?
Yes, so I'm going to give a little bit of basic human advice and academic advice as well. So blending the two, just from personal experience, it's very important as a senior in high school to have a plan. I come from and grew up in Harlan County, Kentucky, of which opportunities were very limited. So I really didn't have a plan once I got out of high school, didn't know what I was going to get into, didn't know what I was going to do. It wasn't until I started researching a little bit and I started digging into specific programs and partnerships. And at one point in time, there was one criminal justice program that was coming to Case TCS Cumberland that backed out. And that's upon that point when I found UCM. And it wasn't until I started getting with you guys and started working, started to form a plan. So again, that's more basic human advice. But as far as academic advice goes, it's certainly important to know the career opportunities and some of your options as far as to commuting to or going on campus at Richmond or commuting to HCTC UCM hazard site, because one of the important things I want to discuss with as far as knowing plans goes is that you can save money and time commuting to UCM than you can going to Richmond. And the reason I want to hit on these points is because when you're at Richmond, you're paying for room, you're paying for housing, actually, meal plans, which is anywhere, I guess, low base estimate would be about $10,000, maybe a little bit more if you're looking for higher, and that'd be the cheapest plan rather, excuse me. But aside from that, commuting to campus, you're not charged for those. You're also not charged for parking. Those are some real good advantages as far as criminal justice police studies program go. But something I do want to mention too is if students were contemplating attending EKU online, okay? Attending EKU online with 4 course load, full-time at 12 credit hours is going to cost you about $6,000. And those students, mind you, as Walter mentioned, the transfer, as far as transferring from the partnership from HCTC to EKU, students aren't eligible for that transfer scholarship. As for our program, you can take up to 18 credit hours, which is 6 classes. So you can take 4 classes, get 2 free additional classes, save money. You're saving at least somewhere around $2,000. And that's the approximate estimation for that through our program is about $4,800. A significant difference as far as cost savings go. We only meet once every other week. So we meet 8 times out of a semester as opposed to a traditional setting of 16-week class. And again, the transfer scholarship for EKU can vary depending on your grade point average. You must maintain a 3.0 or higher. And depending on what your grade point average is coming into EKU transferring in, if you have a 4.0, which is, I believe, is the best scholarship Kernel Plus, is for an academic year of $4,000. And certainly if anybody was interested in this information, I could get that to them. But grade point average does help for sure on cost savings.
Good points, and thank you for mentioning the transfer scholarship piece, because that's critical for students. And I know as a parent of kids in college, grad school, and so on, and we're always looking toward those things. Also, let me mention, we've had some students who come into the UCM and do the EKU bachelor's who, well, we've got a couple that have done this. I mean, they're out practicing now, but we're wanting to go to law school, for example, and they just had to have a bachelor's. in something. You could have a bachelor's in anything and then go on to some of your graduate school programs, but obviously this was a relevant bachelor's for them. And then we even have another student right now who graduated just a couple of years ago from the EKU criminal justice program there through the UCM because she enjoyed that program and knew she'd have a job immediately coming out with that bachelor's. But she also, on the side and working with her advisors, took additional science classes because she was planning on applying to the doctorate in physical therapy offered here in Hazard through our UK partner. That was her plan A. But again, if she didn't get in right away, she knew she had a job. And of course, it turned out she got into the doctorate in physical therapy program. But I thought that was really interesting, really smart of that student to find a bachelor's that allowed her to stay at home, work from home, save money for her graduate program, something she was interested in and could do something with. And then she took a little bit different track. So students are getting really good and really creative, and that's what I like to see them do. Well, gentlemen, I'm going to go ahead and wind us up, but just very quickly, I'll pop back to Walter and then back to you, Josh. Is there something else I should have asked you or something else that you all want to share out to students? Walter?
No, I think we've been pretty thorough. We do have just to throw out there, we do have a couple new certificate programs that started up this year that I wanted to talk just a little bit about. One is a criminal behavior certificate looking at behavioral analysis. You take classes like criminal psychology, abnormal psychology, things like that. Community reentry specialist. We have a big push nationally of pushing offenders back into the community. The pendulum swung a little bit. And so this program really focuses in on how to effectively prepare those people to re-engage the community and for the community to be safe and for those individuals to be successful on the release. We also have one in advanced technologies in criminal justice, looking at the use of drones, robotics, different types of techniques and ways of engaging with the criminal justice process using the most advanced technologies possible. We also on our campus have a use of force simulator, which we have had for a couple years now. This allows us to put students in real world situations where they have to de-escalate crisis situations. There is a weapon involved. Sometimes the scenario will go to a place where the only real option is the use of force. But the purpose of it is to teach students how, and as well as law enforcement officers that are active in policing, how to de-escalate situations and make sure they don't rise to the level of needing to use deadly force. Within that, we also have fingerprint stations and a crisis negotiation station where we have lots of crisis negotiation equipment, and we'll actually go through mock hostage negotiations as part of our crisis intervention training, as well as in the classroom in classes like criminal psychology.
Okay. And Josh, anything else you want to say for the EKU piece?
Just a couple things I wanted to cover real quick. As far as the application process goes, I believe you asked earlier. I just want to cover a couple of dates real quick. In order to apply as far as the program requirements, just sending your transcripts in and obviously applying. And those can be done by April 15th for the summer term, June 15th for the fall, and November 15th for the spring. And those are the hard dates as far as deadline dates to get that information into us. We do work with students throughout the summer through internships. I'm the point of contact for that. 50% of our students that have done an internship have met with employment after graduation. So that's very important as far as not just you graduate and good luck. It's more of we're student first, student oriented, and working with those students to make sure that we can be available to them to be successful in their field or the field that they wish to go into. And lastly, we do host career days as well, of which I had a personal U.S. Marshal reach out through Zoom, and we conducted in that manner, and also had a attorney, one of my former best friends, step in. So we have plenty of opportunities to work with students and help them find out what it is they want to do.
And I think that's so smart because I know, and Walter, I know you both do that, offer those career exploration opportunities even within the programs, either program where you bring professionals in the field in to talk to students so they can, because again, there's so many tracks, so many things. I don't think people realize everything you can do with that type of degree. So the fact that you all continue to facilitate that, I think, speaks well of both programs and the partnership. So thank you all for doing that. Well, I'm going to go ahead and wrap us up, and I thank you two gentlemen for joining me today, and I thank you students for listening. If you are interested at any point in talking a little bit further with either of these two gentlemen, or just have some general questions about transfer or how you might work through HCTC and connect to EKU and so on, certainly feel free to call the college and ask for the UCM. I'm Rhonda Mobilini, and specifically my office phone number is 606-487-3252, and then I can get you connected to either of these folks or both of them. If you want to look at the pathway as a whole, again, they're as before. Walter and Josh and with other faculty, they're very used to working as a team to help that transfer transition work smoothly for you. So don't hesitate to call, and we always encourage students to come into the UCM and just shop around and see the different options that are available to you. And certainly if a question or something pops up today, next week, next month, in the spring, whenever, and you forget the name or who's who, you just obviously let your instructor know, your counselor know, and they can get you connected to us. And feel free to shoot us an email or call, and we'll be happy to get the information to you. And then the UCM, we're very much, we do a lot of that facilitating, connecting people to the right advisor, the right program to help you out with that. So that being said, I'm kind of waving at you, although you can't see me, and I thank you all very much. Have a good